Hello and welcome. Exciting day. I am testing a brand new product I've got my hands on to hopefully give my coasters a gorgeous finish and make them really sturdy and tough and hold up to hot drinks, because what I've tried previously hasn't really worked too good. So the product I'm trying is liquid gloss 2-part epoxy resin glass coat. They claim that it's the equivalent of 50 coats of varnish. So yeah, hopefully it'll be really, really cool. So I've got my product set up here. Need to put the gloves on because safety first. Oh, break the glove, that's always good. These are not very good gloves, oh my goodness. Alright, let's not break this one this time. Okay, so in the pack you have the two parts, part A and part B, and it's nice and easy because it's equal parts. Yeah, so you don't need to do any math, just need to literally measure it out the same. Some other ones that I've tried need to actually weigh it, but yeah, I prefer just the two liquid equal parts, and you know, it's a bit easier to just see that you're right. And it also comes with a cool little spatula thing. Hopefully it's reusable. Sort of feels plasticky but silicone at the same time, so I'm hoping that the resin peels off it when I'm done so I can reuse it again later. Yeah, so I'll move this out of the way and you can see the gorgeous coasters that we're going to try this stuff out on. Yeah, I've also got some little molds and stuff that I might try if I've got extra resin, just so I'm prepared. But yeah, resin coasters is the first and foremost thing I'm wanting to try today. All right, so move a little bit closer so you can see what's going on. Okay, so all right, let's get started. Now, on the instructions, it says that the most ideal temperature, so this flows really good, is like 23 degrees. It's definitely not 20 degrees today. Be like if it was about 15, I reckon. But we'll see how we go. It does give some tips of how to warm it up gently if need be. So we'll see how we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with 30 mils of each. I've got a separate cup to put the two parts together to mix it in. And yeah, we'll see how we go. A little tip: if you need to do more than one batch of resin, and it's a 2-part one, label your little cups that you measure into, and then you won't have the resin starting to go off before you've actually had a chance to mix them. Okay, that's actually not quite 30. Oh goodness. Oops, there we go. And also make sure that you put the right lid back on the right container, just so that you don't get confused when you see them sitting there. Because if you're anything like me, you will pick up the wrong one. Although being a two, equal part, it probably doesn't really matter too much, but just be good to be in the habit. Oh, that's a little bit too much. Okay, so put a little bit more of the part A in. Almost feels like a science experiment. Okay, so oops, part A and part B. All right, now you've got to make sure that these get mixed really, really well as well. Even though they're a clear liquid, well, being a clear liquid, it actually makes it harder to tell whether it's mixed together or not. Another brand that I've used, one is slightly yellow, and so it actually makes it a bit easier to see if they're mixed properly and thoroughly. So it says to mix for about 2 minutes. You guys don't really need to see me mixing for 2 minutes, so I might just either pause it or maybe I'll just do a fast forward thing. They're always fun, aren't they? Alright, so here we go. Goodness me, there are lots of bubbles in this. I hope they pop because I do not have a butane torch. Okay, I think that's pretty well mixed. It actually went a little bit cloudy when I first started to mix it, and now it's looking quite clear. So hopefully it works well. In the instructions, it has reassured me that if it wasn't mixed properly and parts of it are still a little bit sticky, mixing up a new batch of it can just go over it and it should be fixed, but it won't have as brilliant a finish as what it would be if it was mixed right the first time. So let's start, I guess. All right, I'm going to start with this one here. I'm not really sure how much it will need to get spread properly. I thought I was recording away, and it turns out I wasn't. So what I've been doing is putting a coat of resin on some coasters that I'd made. And one of the things I wanted to find out was how many coasters could be covered with like one batch, and for me, I'm calling one batch 30 mils of each part of the hardener, equaling of course 60 mils of resin. And the answer to that question is I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's actually less than 10 mils per coaster, which is pretty cool. Which means I'll be able to do a lot. But I do have more coasters to do. So I'm going to mix up another batch of resin now that I know for sure that I'm recording. And then I've got some molds as well that I want to try out with this resin. So the pack comes with this groovy little spatula stirrer sort of thing. And as I was saying before, but it wasn't recording, so I'll say again, the shape of it is really, really ingenious because it acts as a stirrer, which stirs it really well. Well, hopefully it will. I'll know once the resin has hardened how well it actually did stir. Well, it looks like that one's a little bit thin. Need some more on that one. And the edge here is really good for like scraping like the lip so you don't drip resin where you don't want it, which is, I think, really cool. Yeah, so I'll mix up another batch for everybody. And yeah, so I've got my 2 little cups that I measured the resin into. They're 30 mils each if they go right up to the top. And if you are going to mix more than one batch at a time and you've got your little measuring cups, it's a really good idea to either remember or label them part A and part B so you don't have your resin starting to go off in your little cups before you get to the big one to mix them together. According to the instructions on this, 23 degrees centigrade is the ideal temperature to have this cure nicely and spread nicely and everything. Even though it's spring, it is definitely not 23 degrees today. You're lucky to be about 10 degrees, I reckon. But hopefully it will still look nice. yeah, so I'm noticing already on a couple of the coasters, I've either not put enough resin on, or this is not as even, quite as, what's the level, or it's not quite as level as what I thought it was. Because I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but it's got just a little bit of non-shiny here, which means that it's not as coated with, like, not as well coated with resin as what the other bits are. And this yellow one here, it's got some little sort of holes there, so I'm hoping that's just because there's not enough resin and there wasn't any residue on the coaster itself. Because yeah, if there's any sort of like if I'd used silicone, that can actually repel the resin, and you get like little like pock marks in it, or parts where it's just completely repelled, so you could have the resin. Okay, so we'll mix this all up and see how we go. I'm going to just pause because you don't really need to see the mixing. It's not very exciting, so I'll be back when it's all mixed up. Okay, so it's all mixed up and looking lovely. There are a lot of bubbles in there, but yeah, if yeah, hopefully they'll disperse once it starts to cure. So I'm just adding a little bit more to this one because it had those little edges that looked like they weren't quite covered properly. I'm going to do the same to the yellow one, and then I'll do the last 3 coasters, and then we'll move on to the molds, which is really cool. With the molds, what I'm actually using in part is some of the paint skins left over from when I've done the pouring on the coasters. Of course, you know, paint goes over the sides, and instead of throwing them out, because I don't like to waste things if I can, yeah, we can reuse them and make some beautiful pieces of jewelry. Yeah, so we will do that after the coasters. Might just rearrange a little bit, and so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so rearranged a little bit so you can actually see the ones I'm going to pour the resin onto. Yeah, so you can see how nicely this helps the resin spread, and how handy it was just to clean off the lip of the cup there. Yeah, very, very good design in my opinion. I've seen other people use different bits and pieces to spread out the resin on their artworks and things. I don't have any of those, so I'm just using this, but it seems to work really well. Only sort of thing need to watch for, as far as I can tell so far, is when you're spreading it, not to actually touch onto the paint itself, like just to sort of skim the surface to move it around, not actually, you know, go like scraping, if that makes sense. There are a lot of micro bubbles in there still as I'm pouring, but yeah, hopefully they won't be there as the resin sets, because I do not own a butane torch, which I know is very good for this sort of stuff, although the instructions do state that a butane torch is better on larger projects, not small ones. So even if I did have one, I'm not sure I could actually use it on these. But I guess that's part of the trial and error of a new product. Right, just getting it all the way to the edge as much as I can. Trying not to drip it down, because I want that nice like domed sort of effect on it. The other really important thing to make sure you do, and that one got upset when I was moving them, is make sure that what you're working on is level. Because if your piece is not level, the resin will run off it, and then it will not be as you desired it to be, which, you know, is a bit of a pain. I mean, these ones for me are mostly just testing. My children, or two of them, helped me choose the colours for some of them. And I don't think they want them to be sold. I'm pretty sure they're going to want them at home, which won't be a bad thing because it means I'll be able to actually test the durability and how they hold up to the heat and all that sort of stuff. So I'll then be able to pass that on to having the information of any I do sell in the future, which I do plan to, but I want to make sure I'm selling a quality product at the same time. So yeah, that's where the experimentation comes in. Okay, so that's all of the coasters done. Now the other thing, if you've got any little drips, just make sure that you kind of like just go under and make sure that there are no drips, because otherwise the drips will need to be sanded when the resin has cured. And yeah, it's just a bit harder to deal with. It's but easier to deal with when it's wet, basically. So yeah, I'll reposition the camera to show you some of these molds that I'm doing, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here are some of the molds that I was talking about a moment ago. Yeah, so yeah, here we go. I've got a few different bits and pieces that I'm trying. I might just move this one around so you can actually see where I'm going to pour, because I'm not doing all of those. Yeah, so I'll do this one first. I probably won't need all that much, just a little, I reckon, just to spread it out and see if we can't get a really nice little finish on it. Being as this is a top coat, I'm hoping that it'll give gorgeous finish on it. It does have a lot of micro bubbles there, but with these ones I don't think I actually mind too much. Adds a little bit of an extra to the piece. But yeah, we'll see what happens when it cures, I suppose. Yeah, so I've got some of the paint skins that I mentioned earlier in these, and I'm just very interested to see what they look like in the molds, and just sort of see what happens with them. That one I've got completely, the paint skin is completely on the bottom, almost stuck there, and with this one I'm gonna lift it up a little bit. I need the icy pulse stick. Yeah, so just put that out of the way momentarily and put a little bit of a layer of resin on it first, just like so, and then we'll get the paint skin. This one was actually from an edge, like from the side of one of the containers I mixed the paint in. So I didn't expect it to actually come out, but it did, and it had this gorgeous pattern, and I just could not resist trying to put it into resin as jewelry, because well, it's just gorgeous, as you can see. I'm just sort of pushing it down a little bit so it'll end up being basically in the middle, but also the unevenness of the texture of it will add a bit of extra interest to it as well. So just put a little bit of extra on top to seal it. Make sure everywhere has resin, otherwise you'll have holes where you don't want them. I really like the way this flows, even though it's not the ideal temperature. It's actually flowing pretty well, which surprises me because you know, 23 degrees is the ideal temperature, and it is definitely not 23 degrees here. So yeah, we'll see how we go. I might do this one next. Might put a little bit underneath and then lay it on top. Oh goodness, need a third hand. Okay. I sort of liked the way this one, like, yeah, it's just really gorgeous, and I like the way it fits into the mold. That was a little bit of a fluke, to be honest. Just yeah, one of those happenstances that hopefully works out really cool. Now this one, I've just got little bits and pieces that the kids sort of found around the studio, because I'm in an industrial area, and yeah, there are like some shavings on the ground and stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how they look. Yeah, so I think there's a bit of metal shavings there, and part of a broken CD, I think. It'll be interesting to see what they look like in resin. And this one is very cool as well. The other side of it looks even better than what this one does. Yeah, so now I'll put some in these. I have no idea how it will work out, but I've only got a little bit of resin left, so just do that and see what happens. Sort of mix it around a bit. Hopefully they'll float in there a little bit and not just sink down to the bottom. But I'm only doing it a little bit shallow as well, so whatever will be will be. I've got a teensy bit of resin left. Oh yes, that's what I was going to do. I'm going to put a little bit on this one, just a little. And I've got this gorgeous bit of paint skin that I'm just going to kind of stick on and do the top coat. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Oh, I think the resin's starting to cure. That's the only bit of information that this pack doesn't include, and I didn't think to look it up anywhere online. Thinking about it now, I probably should have. But okay, next time. But the only bit of information they don't say is actually how long the working time is. So yeah, I don't know whether, you know, I've got like a few, well, obviously I've got more than a few minutes because it's been more than a few minutes since I've been working with this one, but yeah, so I guess I don't have to work super quick, but yeah, it just doesn't say what that is. Oh my gosh, look how good that is. Oh, that's gorgeous. I had a feeling it would be. Yeah. Now you might be able to see that there's just a couple of little drips forming. I'm just making sure I get rid of those as soon as I see them. Oh goodness, my cord's getting in there. I have to move this. Oops. Just slightly. So I don't think this yellow one is very even, as in like level, because that resin is just coming off. That's not good at all. The other reason to get rid of the drips is because once there is a drip, the resin sort of tries to continue going off it, and you can potentially lose a fair bit of it if left unchecked. So I think I might need to adjust that one a little bit, because it's yeah, one of the things that can be done is just to use an isopol stick or something else, just to, you know, tip it up just that little bit. Oh goodness, I'm making a mess now. All right, I'm going to move this to a different part of the bench. All right, hopefully that'll be a bit better. And if not, then bye bye yellow coaster. Okay, hopefully that will be okay. Yeah, so the other thing that I've been sort of working on, and a bit of an experiment, which is one of the things I absolutely love to do, is making these little, these are like bottle caps. And what I've done with these ones so far, and some of them are still drying, is I've been experimenting with PVA glue with some of the paint skins and some of the pouring paints. This one I've just put pouring paint into it, straight into it, and just to see what happens. The others have got PVA glue, which is still white, of course, because that's what it is when it comes out of the bottle, but it does dry clear. With previous experiments, if I do it too thick, it can take a couple of weeks to actually get clear, but it eventually does. And over here I've got some molds that I've been putting like just the pouring paint in, just to sort of, yeah, so here are the molds that I've got with just the paint skins in them. I just wanted to see kind of what they were gonna do. So I've got no idea how they're gonna turn out. Hopefully they turn out really cool, but maybe not. This one here, I've got a paint skin with PVA glue around it. I'm not very hopeful that that will dry very good, but you know, that's what experimentation's all about, isn't it? So I'll just sort of give you a bit of a close-up of the bits and pieces that we've done. It's the gorgeous yellow one. It's finally stopped dripping. You can see all the resin sort of pooling down. My brain is already starting to tick of how I could reuse that. But yeah, it's just bringing out the colours beautifully. Absolutely love this so far. I'm very excited to check back tomorrow and see what it looks like when it's sort of touch dry. So yeah, it's looking very promising so far. Those micro bubbles that were apparent earlier, I'm not seeing a lot of them now, which is excellent. Like even in the molds, you can see them a little bit, but yeah, not too bad at all. Yeah, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, there's a big bubble there, I'll need to pop that. Here's the one that I did the top coat on. I realized that you couldn't actually see it properly, so you can see that now, and that gorgeous one. Oh, I just love that. That's absolutely gorgeous. And some other things that I'm going to do at some stage, but I don't know when. Yep, so that's all I can really show you today. I'll post another video with an update of how these have dried and what's happened to them, and hopefully some more experimentations. If there's anything specific you guys would like to see, leave a comment. But otherwise, if you liked it, like, follow, tell your friends, and I'll be back next time. Thank you, bye.